When we talk about Buddhist education, I guess these days so many people may understand Buddhism as a part of religion or part of the world religion. To be fact, with the idea of Buddhism, I would say that sometimes it is very difficult to fit within the word religion. Because when we put the word religion in terms of an English sense, actually, in order to be a religion, you need to have, for example, at least a God. And in Buddhism, we disregard God. It doesn't mean that we rejected God, but we disregard God, and as a mean that somebody they may believe in God. It is depends on their own faith and belief. But in terms of Buddhism, is that we are human beings, and then the whole idea of religiosity in Buddhism is that how to gain or how to achieve that perfection of humanity in that sense. So when we talk about education, actually, what is all education about? Education basically these days again mislead, just like Buddhism itself. We can see that education is a means to get a certificate. Education is a means to achieve some level of what we call educational degrees, and then that will be the key to your employment. But in fact, if you really understand the word education, actually education, it is from educare in Latin, which basically means that bringing out your best out of your skill or out of you. So education is basically what we do is that bringing out yourself, the best humanity, for the sake and benefit of all other humanity. So if you look at the word education in that sense, in fact, Buddhism is all about education. Because the word ism in English is very, I guess that's not a good word. And then the whole idea of a Buddhism was coined by the Western. I guess it was an American creation. As far as I am aware of, it was in 1828 that the first American English dictionary entered the word Buddhism. Before that, we never had the word Buddhism. We had Buddhist doctrine, Buddhist teaching, the teaching of the Buddha, and so on. But it was only in 1828 that we have the word Buddhism. And in a sense that sometimes it is very misleading, because ism is something about believing, ism is something about the blind faith, but whereas Buddhism, it is when you combine with the word Buddha and ism, it is an oxymoron within itself, because ism is about believing, but Buddha is awakening. So basically, Buddhism is about how do we educate ourselves to be awakened. That is a Buddha. Buddha means that awaken, Buddha means that realizations, and the realization awaken means that the dispelling or destroying the delusion, or that is ignorance, and that is the main idea of education itself. So if you really understand the word education and Buddhism, actually they are the same thing. But sometimes Buddhism is labeled as a religion, education as a label as a something universal way to train yourself with some kind of a knowledge. But if you really look at the whole idea of a Buddhism, let's say that just put it very simply, what is the essence of Buddhism? People may say that essence of Buddhism could be the Eightfold Noble Path or the Four Noble Truths. Out of Four Noble Truths is Eightfold Noble Path. What are those Eightfold Noble Paths? To put in simply, Eightfold Noble Path is that what we call is Tri Shiksha or Tri Sikha, which basically means that three education. So the whole essence of Buddhism itself has been defined by the Buddha, has been defined by the Buddhist scholar from the ancient time, that Buddhism is all about three education. What are those three education? Education of Sila. Sila means what? Sila means that a regularity of human being. Sila doesn't mean restraint. Of course, in a practice, some kind of restraint is needed, but the Sila itself is what does it really means that to behave normally, to behave a regular human being. And to behave regular human being is that to realize that we are not living in this world alone. This world is not belong to us. Basically, what means that we are emphasizing on social humanity. So that's why we need a sila. That's why we have to practice sila. Because the sila's main outcome is that to live with other people with harmony and happily. So that is the first part of education. Second part is samadhi. What is samadhi? Samadhi, for many times these days, sometimes close your eyes and isolate and then sometimes even read of your problem. It is not. Samadhi basically means that how do you train your mind, your perceptions, your eyes, nose, and all those five senses to be able to think in the right way. That is all about samadhi. That is basically means that educating yourself, developing yourself. Then of course, the third education is that panya, or sometimes we call wisdom, or sometimes we say is that intellectual development. So basically, when a panya, for many people, they may thought that a panya is the knowledge. Panya is not knowledge. Panya is more than knowledge. Knowledge is something that you might learn, you might gain, you might memorize, but panya is something more than that. The etymology of the word prajna or panya in Pali, pa means that from multi-dimension, from all dimension. Nya means that knowing. So you know from all different dimensions, all dimensions. So imagine, you are listening, you are watching this television program. This is a panya or not? This is a wisdom or not? In fact, not. Because you can understand me because all those words I speak, it has been stored in your memory. So you can validate those memory to my wording. So that's all. Actually, it is not a knowing, it is not a realizing. But if you know the multi-dimensions, you are able to know that my appearance in your screen TV is just a visual, it is not real me. No. So many people may think that this is me. No. Because if you know that, you are able to see that, for example, when you see the paper, you call it paper. But that is only very superficial knowledge of validating your memory. But if I ask you that, what is a real paper means? There is something called paper, then it will get it more kind of uneasy answers, because then you will find that there is no such thing as paper. The paper itself is a combination of so many other chemical things. If you are able to know that what we call is vipassana knowledge, basically vipassana means that means that extraordinarily, passana means that seeing. So vipassana basically, if we put in the modern word, is X-ray seeing. So if you X-ray the paper, what you see? Nothing. So immediately when you see the paper in that way, you will see that when somebody asks you what is that, a piece of paper, you might say that this is a piece of cloud. Why? Without cloud, there wouldn't be any rain. Without rain, there wouldn't be any trees. And without trees, there wouldn't be possible to have any paper. So this kind of knowledge is very deep and circum-knowledge, very all-around knowledge or multidimensional knowledge. And this is a prajna. So if you develop these three kind of education, basically your social being, your mental or kind of spiritual being, and the intellectual being, if you educate these three level of education, that is a core of Buddhism. And basically these days, even the word education sometimes doesn't go in this depth. So how do you bring this education and Buddhism as one? Actually, I would say that only if you understand Buddhism thoroughly, then you can say that you are well educated. That is the Buddha's word. When we become well educated, we call Sekha Puggala, which means that you are enlightened, you are awakened. When you are not enlightened yet, you are still the Asekha Puggala, you are uneducated person. So basically, the whole idea of Buddhism is about educating yourself, how to live in this society harmoniously, and then how you develop in this world, not only physically but spiritually.